Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. In a recent episode of the Docuganda series, Secrets of Playboy, a former Playboy bunny mother alleges that Soul Train creator Don Cornelius allegedly tied up and sexually assaulted two Playboy bunnies in his home. And according to this former Playboy bunny mother, PJ Maston, she alleges that your Don Cornelius met these Playboy bunnies or baby bunnies at a Hollywood dance bar where the bunnies were known to hang out. And according to her, your Cornelius spotted two new baby bunnies who were sisters and invited them to join him in the bar's VIP area. And later that evening, it is alleged that your Mr. Cornelius allegedly took these baby bunnies back to his home in his Rolls Royce, where he said he was throwing a party. And according to these allegations, he took them to his house, put them in two separate rooms, and people did not hear from them in 3 days. And the 3-day silence was broken when one of the girls called a bunny mother at the Playboy mansion, alleging that she and her sister had been held at Cornelius's house, and she was finally able to escape. And when the Playboy head of security went to pick them out, he found them bloodied, battered, and drugged. And according to the sisters, as related to what the mother was saying, these girls were sodomized with wooden objects, and one sister could hear the other sister being brutalized. And according to them, they didn't notify the police because it was in accordance with Playboy policy, and the security team handled things internally. Now, when I take a critical examination of this allegation against Don Cornelius, it's one that I see as not really ringing true. And the reason why I believe it does not ring true is because the whole story of a black man participating in sexual assault of white girls and then not going to the police is just not something I would find to be credible in 1970s America. Now, if you understand the context of history, Jim Crow didn't really end until the late 70s, and when Soul Train was just getting started in the early 70s, America was still under the unwritten policy of Jim Crow. And a white woman could easily go to a police station and say that she was sexually assaulted, and the police would immediately go out here and they would go out here and arrest a Don Cornelius, because your white supremacists, they would have been eager to go out here and take down a Don Cornelius, even if something was going on at the Playboy Mansion. And you would think your Hugh Hefner would want to have gone out here and dealt with Don Cornelius, because it would look very bad optically for Playboy to go out here and cover up for a alleged sexual deviant, because while your Playboy promoted sexual freedom in the pages of its magazine, it did not support or condone criminal sexual behavior like this. And when I listen to this story, it again does not have that ring of truth. And basically what it's looking like to me is some white women are trying to revise history, and what they want to do is revise history to try to make it where the sex acts they participated in with your Don Cornelius in his mansion don't go out here and incriminate them as related to whatever deviant behaviors they allegedly participated in. And what they want to do is go out here and make Don Cornelius into some sort of black brute so that they can go out here and sate their feelings as related to the really egregious behaviors they participated in the past, and be able to say that the sexually deviant behavior they participated in was something that was the fault of a Don Cornelius and not the fault of themselves. This is something a lot of women do, and when they get older and they have to think about all of the deviant sexual behaviors and numerous sex partners they've participated in, they go out here and they rewrite the story in their minds in order to make themselves innocent. And what they do is they make themselves out to be the victim of whoever they had this sexual encounter with, and they rewrite the story in their minds, and then they use this to try to be able to deal with the behaviors they participated in during that time when they were younger. Because what it looks like to me, as related to the real story, is that Don Cornelius probably went to this bar where these women hung out, and then he ran into these Playboy bunnies, and they were probably talking to him, that he invited them to his house for a party. They probably had some casual sex with this Don Cornelius, and now that they're older, they're looking back at the sexual encounter they had with this black man, where they possibly participated in some sexual deviant act like a sodomy, and now they're looking back at their lives and realizing that they went out here and participated in something really disturbing in their minds, and in order to sate that part of themselves, they tried to rewrite the story to make Don Cornelius the bad guy. And what they want to do with this Secrets of Playboy series is this is about women trying to revise history, and what they want to do is these older women, they want to go out here and try to clean up their past by demonizing people like your Hugh Hefners, and they want to now demonize Don Cornelius and make him out to be the big black monster. And that's what they want to do with this series, is make Don Cornelius to be the big black monster, when many of these women were actually complicit as related to getting involved with these kind of guys, because when they were younger, a lot of these women, they wanted to get with these celebrities, and they wanted to go out here and think that getting involved with these men sexually would get them a place in Hollywood or an opportunity to be a star. But now that they are older, they have aged out of the entertainment industry. They have not gotten any success as related to the entertainment industry, and now they've got a lot of memories, and what they want to do is twist those memories to make themselves out to be victims. And then as they're twisting these memories to make themselves out to be victims, they're hoping to get a payday from whatever estate or person is out there at their expense. And when I look at the whole situation with Don Cornelius, this is really disrespectful, because your Don Cornelius is not out here to defend himself. If there was a criminal act, I would believe that these women would have gone out here and went to the police, because again, back in the 1970s, all a woman had to do was say a black man did something to her, and LAPD would have been out there in seconds, and it would have been a major scandal as related to Playboy, because Playboy was not really seen as something positive in America overall at the time. I mean, this was a porn magazine that was in the background of everything, and it would have been a major scandal. And the whole thing was, they would have gone out here and again arrested them, because again, Don Cornelius, he was not a guy with clout and power at the time in Hollywood. He was not as powerful as the Hollywood executives at the time, and he wasn't as powerful as the people who ran TV networks, because Soul Train was a syndicated show, and you had to buy in to pick up his show, and many of those local TV station owners and network TV owners, they would not have supported his show had they known he had been participating in deviant sexual acts with white girls. They would have quickly pulled his show off the air, and that's another reason why I don't believe these allegations, because, again, in 1970s America, they would have easily taken down a Don Cornelius back then very quickly, because at that time we had other types of deviance going on. We had people like Charles Manson and many others out here participating in criminal acts and deviant acts, and this story would have blown up on all of the papers, and your Playboy legal team would not have been able to cover it up. So when I listened to this whole story about Don Cornelius participating in such a criminal act, they would have easily gone out here and done something about this, because it would have tarnished the whole Playboy brand, and it would have run counter to the Playboy brand. So I listened to this allegation, and it again sounds like older women who want to revise history, and they want to revise history because a lot of these older women, what's happened to them is they're out here being on the casting couch, they were out here being side pieces, they were out here being jump offs at places like Playboy, looking for some rich guy to get involved with, and now that they're older, have hit the wall and are no longer able to compete against younger women, what they want to do is come out here with a revised story to make themselves out to be a victim, hoping to get some change in their old age to take care of themselves. So what's going on here with this whole Playboy docuganda is no different than what the Me Too movement was doing. And what they're trying to do now is pivot from Hugh Hefner and his issues with Playboy with these women to Don Cornelius. And they're doing this deliberately because that's what they originally did with Bill Cosby. Now, with Bill Cosby, they wanted to go out here and make him into a black brute who lusted after white women and was alleged to have participated in alleged sexual violence. And they're trying to do the same thing with Don Cornelius, trying to make him a face of sexual predation. And this is all to deflect from the white male who was running Playboy, Hugh Hefner, who has been demonized by this whole narrative. And the whole thing with this whole narrative is they're trying to make it all about making the black man the face of sexual predation. But when I look at the story again, they want to deflect from the white man, Hugh Hefner, because if you listen to the details of the incident, it took place outside of the Playboy mansion, and they were trying to make this all about making the black man a predator, when in the 70s you had a lot of women going out here. They would get involved with guys like Don Cornelius, thinking that if they traded some booty for some parts, or traded it for some attention from these guys, they would go out here and be able to make it big in Hollywood. But a lot of these women didn't make it big in Hollywood, and now they're coming out here with these revised stories, trying to make themselves out to be a victim of violence and trying to get a little bit of attention in the last 15 seconds of the 15 minutes of fame they thought they were going to have by being a part of an organization like Playboy. Now, a lot of these young women, when they were younger, they wanted to use Playboy as a fast track to advancing themselves in Hollywood. Unfortunately, they didn't get very far, because as someone who has read the Playboy Playmate backgrounds, many of these women aspired to become big in Hollywood, and most of them wound up going nowhere, because in order to move ahead in the entertainment industry, you need to have an agent, and you also need to go out here and have a clean record, because if you pose in Playboy, people can't really book you on jobs outside of those that Playboy Productions make, because your name is associated with a magazine that turns off housewives, And in order to sell a woman, you have to be able to be appealing to women. And if you go and be in Playboy, most women are turned off because they associate you with the kind of woman that they don't like to be around. And that's what a lot of women never understood about Playboy. And when I look at this piece, this docuganda, and I call it a docuganda because while it says it's a documentary, it's nothing but propaganda meant to try to demonize men, this Secrets of Playboy, because we're not really getting an objective take on Playboy, because if you had a objective take on Playboy, it would tell you that many of these women were complicit, and many of these women thought because they were young and out here in this Playboy environment, they were going to get a fast track to the entertainment industry in Hollywood. But unfortunately, they didn't get that fast track, and all they wound up was going nowhere. And sadly, there was nobody there to sit there and tell them that Playboy is the easiest way to go nowhere in Hollywood. Again, if you can't sell the housewives on you being a friend or somebody that they want to be friends with, you're not going to get very far in the entertainment industry. And once you do pose in Playboy, you become somebody who gets forgotten as the next Playmate of the month takes your place. Or if you get posing in one of the articles like the Pac-10 group, you practically become invisible by the end of the magazine. So this is something that a lot of women didn't really get that advice on back in the day because they didn't know about the entertainment industry. But I knew about the entertainment industry because I studied it for over 25 years. And what I see here is another attempt to try to revive the Me Too narrative. But all it does is they're trying to make another black man the brute of the month. And what they wanted to do is, by going out here and making this allegation against Don Cornelius, is showing how cowardly these white supremacists are, going after a dead man, and going after a dead man who cannot speak back for himself. And this is more cowardly than them going after Bill Cosby, because they went after Bill Cosby, an 80-plus-year-old man who was blind, and he barely could be able to defend himself. If he didn't have attorneys like Tom Mesereau to defend him, he would have been lost. But what this is the same type of cowardice that those two guys who made that docuganda against Michael Jackson were participating in. They were out here going after a dead man because a dead man could not fight back. And again, that's really cowardly and extremely weak, and it just shows the kind of character of the people who are making this docuganda, and they're no different than these people who make these allegations. Again, these are all people who are bitter because they did not get the big success in Hollywood, and they're angry, and they're expressing their anger by revising their stories in order to, again, make themselves feel good about the sex acts they participated in, and compromising their dignity, and feeling bad because after making all of those compromises, they are going nowhere, and they're going further nowhere, because to go after Don Cornelius after all this time just shows how little character they had now, just like they had absolutely no character back then. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella. Discover the dark side of love in this goth and lovely romance with Spinsterella. Get Spinsterella in paperback and e-readers at your favorite online bookseller today.